How's it going, guys? Just dropping in real quick to show you how I do my monotubs. I start with always a Sterilite bin. And as you can see, I have 2 layers of micropore tape across these lower holes that are 1 inch wide. And then I tape them with some Scotch tape or masking tape. On the upper holes just below the lid, I do 1 layer of micropore tape. Now, the reason why I do this is because years ago, there was an app called DMT World. It's still around, I think, but it was a place where people could go and learn about cultivating and, doing extractions and different things. And there was an HVAC guy who talked about microclimates and how the humidity mainly gets stuck on when your tub's just sitting. The humidity will raise and chill by the lid, and that's why there's 1 layer of tape closer to the lid, because the air can come in and it forces that microclimate across the surface as it pushes itself slowly out the lower holes that have 2 layers of tape. Now, most importantly, guys, you're going to want to be clean. You want to make sure your spawn's clean. I'm going to go as far to say that 99% of contamination that you're going to see comes from just having dirty spawn or dirty substrate. So you got to make sure you pasteurize your substrate correctly, and you make sure that your spawn is clean as well. These are very important. Work in a clean space, wear gloves. I use hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide does what alcohol does and more. Alcohol only kills bacteria. Hydrogen peroxide actually kills mold spores. And it doesn't damage your mycelium. I spray everything down. It's kind of tricky to learn to work with. You don't want to let it sit on your hands for too long, so wear gloves or else it can burn your hands. If you're working in front of a flow hood, put on a hat because it'll bleach your hair. And so first is what I do is I'll add my spawn after wiping everything down. And then I'm going to add my substrate. I like to do usually a 1-to-1. So in the case of this tub, I'm doing 4 quarts of spawn, 4 quarts of substrate. The reason why I do 1-to-1, a lot of people don't like it, is I just think that you get more. And people will say, well, you're wasting spawn. Well, if you think about the price of spawn for an extra quart or 2, it's not even $1, compared to how many more mushrooms. Even if you're getting 1/8 more mushrooms, it's worth it. And you're going to save space that way, and it's less work. You don't have to make as much substrate. So that's just how I like to roll. Sorry, my dog was barking there for a second. I'm just outside chilling. But anyways, back to the tub. So you don't have to use the 1-inch bit to do these. I think that's all I had available at the time. You can use the 1.79 bit, I think is the size. Or you can do, it's roughly 2 inches, but just do less holes. Just do 2 holes instead of 3 across the bottom. And then that way you don't have to put the extra one in the front on the lower side. Also, there should be a line on your Sterilite bin, a thin line from the bottom of the tub that you'll see, just a little light plastic line that measures exactly 3 inches. I like to place my holes about 1 inch above that. And 3 inches is where I like my substrate to be, or just under. 2.5 to 3 inches gives your block lots of room to hold moisture and give you the monsters that you're trying to get. So I just mix the 2 together very thoroughly. And then the last step in making the tub and actually spawning the bulk substrate with the spawn, right, is I'm going to put a casing layer. It's not a real casing where you're using peat moss and all those lime and all those other ingredients where you wait till the tub's fully colonized. Just about a 1/2 inch of some substrate over the top to cover most of those grains that would be exposed to the air. And that's just to be safe. It's not even necessary, but it's just been a good habit that I've always done since I started making tubs. So you want to make sure that everything is packed down tight from the center to the edges, and you want to make sure that your substrate is nice and even. nice and flat and smooth and even and tightly packed. I've done side-by-sides where I pack it more loosely and where I pack it tight, and honestly, you might lose a day or two in colonization, but in all reality, that doesn't really matter. I don't even know that I've ever even lost that much time. I don't know if it affects it. I've heard people I really respect say otherwise, but this is how I do it because I don't want to mess around with a liner. And this right here, this is the Dr. Mike's bacteriological stuff, that probiotic, that stuff that gives your substrate a good biome to keep it healthy and give it what it needs to fight contam and do different things. I'm just trying it out right now. Somebody told me to try it out, so I'm trying it out. I'm going to see if I get different results, better results, hopefully. We'll see if it'll make a difference. It's not something that I live by or swear by, or I'm going to say that it makes any difference at all, because this tub I haven't even spawned. Well, I haven't harvested it yet. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to pack it down tight from the center all the way to the edges, keeping it flat, keeping it smooth, making sure that it's nice and tight. And the reason for that is if you pack it loosely, you're going to create a microclimate between your substrate block and the wall that's more favorable than the surface. That's why you get side pins, is because it's getting more humidity and it has enough air for the mycelium to think that it can fruit on the sides and on the bottom. So make sure you don't give it a chance to do that. Also, another thing that's important when not using a liner, doing it this way, when you move it, you don't want to disturb it at all. You want to be very gentle. You want to put it where it's going to go, and you want to leave it and not touch it until you're ready to take the masking tape off of those holes to give it FAE. And I like to wait till the substrate and the block is fully colonized and I start to see primordia and pins forming nice and evenly across the surface there, so that when I give it air, I'm mimicking nature. It's just like a little mushroom growing out of a cow pie. The first one that hits that gets that oxygen and leaves that high CO2 environment explodes up, and it's dropping spores as fast as possible so that the species can survive. We're just mimicking nature, but making it more favorable for the entire surface to do the exact same thing at once. Some people like to give it air the whole time. I've tried. I've done side-by-sides. I didn't have bad results, but I definitely didn't have as good of results. Maybe I need to do it more because I'm not here to argue with anybody, but maybe I'm just missing something, but I prefer to do it this way. Definitely, I've seen better results this way. So as you see, I'm just adding that extra layer, that little layer, that ½ inch of substrate to cover those exposed grains. Yeah, get it down in the corners. Make sure there's none poking up towards the holes or, crawling up the wall. Make sure you get all the substrate off of the walls. You're going to want to clean the walls down when you're done, because you could have mycelium trying to grow up the walls, and that can actually really affect your yields. Yeah, make sure it's packed tight. And not sure if I mentioned this earlier, guys, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but people will always send me pictures. Well, first they ask me something about, something, and something's wrong, obviously, and they say, what do you think? And I tell them to send me a picture, and they'll send me a picture, and the first thing that I think of is, man, why are you doing your tub like that? Or why is your tub why is your block sitting on perlite inside of a tub? And whatever works for you. I've seen good results. Good results from lots of different techs. So not bashing anybody if they're getting good results another way. And I always have to stress that, because, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So there's more than one way to grow a mushroom as well. But this, to me, is just the easiest way. I feel like when you complicate things or go about it like it's complicated, you're only overcomplicating it. So I like to keep it as simple as possible, because I don't like to put a lot of effort into my grows. I like to just spawn them and let them do their thing. As far as air goes, fanning and misting, I never do that. I will possibly have a fan across the room, like a small desk fan. on a timer for 5 minutes, 4 or 5 times a day, 6 to 8 feet away, have it on low, and that's plenty. That's plenty of FAE if you're doing a set and forget tub like this. But yeah, so I'm making this because I'm always giving advice, and it's so difficult to always have to explain to people step by step how to do a monotub. And I think that people who are having issues with tubs or with blocks, I think that if you just did it this way, just give it a try, you're going to be very happy with your success. And there I am. What am I doing? I'm eating a taco. I love tacos, man. Tacos are bomb. Hell yeah. Who doesn't love tacos? So right there, I just misted the lid with hydrogen peroxide. Just make sure it's nice and clean because it was sitting on top of my flow hood. Who knows if there's anything that got on there. Always try to keep it clean. And yeah, always keep it clean. That's like another huge thing. If your house is messy or your fridge has a bunch of moldy cheese in it or bread, I mean, that could definitely affect your growth. So stay clean. This was my easy, simple as fuck monotub tech. And much love, guys. Take care.